Welcome, my good people. Fourth episode of the Trippin-N-The podcast. I'm your host, Dice, with my co-host, Mike. We here back at it, talk about some Summer League, talk about some different Knicks news, some ESPN coverage, some Richard Jefferson refereeing, that bullshit, like I said it would be.
Yeah.
But what you got for me today?
All right, man. So let's start with pretty much a quick recap of the game. What players impress you? Tell me a little bit about your thoughts of the third Summer League game against Portland.
Yeah, so started off strong. Started off kind of like the second game against Chicago. 13-0 run, had them calling timeouts real quick. At one point, it was 24-9. I remember that vividly because I was like, oh, okay, this might be another blowout. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Second quarter happens. These guys can't get into their offense all of a sudden. I saw a stat today, actually. The Portland Trailblazers bench out-rebounded our bench 27-5.
Wow.
That's not going to win no games. That's not going to win no games.
I win games like that, my guy.
Exactly. So I thought Quentin Grimes came out, looked good. 9 for 17 from the field, 24 points. Had control and commanded the team, commanded the offense. I thought Sims looked good. Seemed like he got bottled up a little bit in the second half. First half, he ended the first half with 10 boards, ended the game with 11. So, you know what I mean? It was a big difference in that second half, obviously, from the second quarter on. I'm a fan of Deuce McBride, and I know me and you touched base on this a little earlier. He's just not ready yet, though. He's not ready to make a contribution that's going to mean anything. You know what I mean? Right now, not quick enough, not fast enough, can't get to the hole, can't finish strong enough. The jump shot is starting to come around, but he's looking a lot more poised when he shoots. But what I'm realizing with him is when he's dribble and he can't get anywhere, that the jump shot is coming out. You know what I mean? Like that shit's flying, and it's like that's not gonna work for Tommy Tig. You know what I mean? Like Farron Hunt looked great. Another night at the office, versatility, getting out in the open court, hit a couple threes last night. So that was cool to see. I know it was some talks that he wasn't really comfortable at the 3-point line yet.
Right.
But he came out and hit 2 of those yesterday. Looked good. Other than that, I mean, I wanted to win the game. But what I take away from Summer League is making sure that my guys, one, come out healthy. And come out looking better at some different things, some different aspects of the game. And I mean, going from there, I just want to see what happens next game against Orlando on Thursday. And I know we're not going to have Banchero to watch. That'd have been cool, but hopefully we should go in there and get that win.
Right.
What you thought about the game? What you thought about some of the adjustments that Portland made to kind of hamper down on our defense, kind of hamper down on the offense where we couldn't really get into our motions and really do much. What's your takeaway so far?
Yeah, similar to yours. What I noticed is once Portland turned up that intensity a little bit, we struggled scoring, and that's basically because we don't have a point guard. Like Deuce, like you said earlier, Deuce is not really ready to run the team. When they started turning up the pressure, he couldn't penetrate and get people easy shots. It was stagnant. It was a lot of just standing around and a lot of 3-point shooting, that type of stuff. They went to a zone, and it totally just changed everything with that game. They couldn't do anything with that zone. They just firing up threes, and once that started missing, they lost all momentum.
Yep.
Richard Jefferson didn't help, bro.
I texted you that. I said it'd be funny if we start losing. As
soon as he checked in, it's like we didn't make a shot. Like the second quarter, they outscored us. Like we outscored them 24-9. Second quarter, it was like 28-13. Like it's just like the boy Jinx. Like, as soon as he checked in the game, I knew it was going to be
The
some
minute he touched the court,
it's some bullshit. I thought he was going to cheat. He didn't cheat. We just had the Jinx. Like, I mean,
it's like the minute he touched the court, everybody was just like,
they are frantic, running without the ball. This got crazy. So Richard Jefferson, the Jinx is on for Richard Jefferson. I knew it was going to happen. The other thing that I'm going to say, I don't even care about the game. The other thing I'm going to say is that ESPN coverage was god awful, man. All that refereeing with Jefferson and showing him in his school and watching him on the thoughts.
For half the game, we was on a split screen with the referee dude. I'm like,
nah, man, I couldn't even watch the game. It was already late, late, especially in the East Coast. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired, and I'm like, yo, dude, I can't watch this. Like, they made it. That coverage was unwatchable. It was ridiculous. And another thing is, they don't even know how Knicks fans think. They kept saying over and over and over.
Buy into the youth. Yeah. We are.
What's wrong with y'all? Y'all crazy? You always go for the star, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, bro, all of us want to do that. We've been asking for that for years. So it's just how out of touch all of them are. It's crazy. Now, we'll touch on this a little later, but if they do the Mitchell thing, then it's like it came to fruition. But that's not what all of us wanted to do. We want to rebuild. You know what I mean? We want to do things the right way. So that whole ESPN, Mark Jackson, all them guys, they don't know the core of Knicks fans and how we think. That's my biggest takeaway from the game, to be honest with you, to keep it honest.
Yeah, just to kind of nickel back off what you said with the coverage, and I just think they got a narrative and they run with the narrative no matter what's actually going on in the city. You know what I mean? Nobody actually got a pulse on New York basketball. You know what I mean? They talk about, they always going star hunting, this, that, and the third. This ain't the same team. You know what I mean? This ain't the same regime. Knicks fans want to trade Randall. We ain't never wanted to trade the best player. Exactly. You know what I mean? Just so other players can play. This is a whole new, and that's what I don't like about ESPN, and that's why I just feel like they not authentic when it come to that. Like, somebody got to know what's going on with the team. And before you go on national coverage and start talking how you talking. Right. You know what I mean? Because it's just not adding up. But like you said, if we do that Mitchell thing, then that kind of – but I'm sure we're going to touch base into that.
We're going to close with that segment of your package, what you're willing to do. We'll talk about that. So just, past the Richard Jefferson nonsense and the players with the game, we signed some players today. Give me your thoughts on the official contract numbers, how it break down. Fred Katz, it kind of broke it all down for us, so it kind of made it, simple to see how it went. Give me your thoughts on the three signings and what you would have did differently as far as that go.
I'm not surprised that the Knicks got all three players on. I didn't actually get to check out Isaiah's contract. Was it descending also?
No, he basically got 7.8 and 8.3 or something like that.
Okay.
Guaranteed, and a little bit of incentives if you hit certain incentives where it can go up another 1.7 million. So his is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, that's cool. That's pretty straightforward. As for Mitchell Robinson, I was a little disheartened not to see any options on it. I thought the Knicks moved better than that, I guess, if I want to say. But when I saw the descending contract and the big chunks of millions that he's, that he's going down per year, I guess they couldn't get both. You know what I mean? They couldn't descend his contract and give him an option. You know what I mean? It's cool. You know what I mean? It's as far as Mitch, I'm a huge fan of Sims. I really think Sims can take his job. That's just me. I know that might be a little hot take, but the things that Sims is even trying in the summer league. You know what I mean? Yeah. Mitch don't got that. He can't even try that. You know what I mean? Like,
it's not his thing.
Mitch is not trying no Euros, my guy. It's not happening. So as for Mitch, 4 years, it is what it is. We got our guy back. That was the big complaint with New York Knicks. we don't never sign our picks back. So that was cool. But as far as Jalen Brunson, kind of surprised we got him on a descending contract. But it kind of makes sense. Obviously, as he's getting older, he's probably gonna get a little worse. You know what I mean? So he's still getting a big bag at the end of that 4 years. You know what I mean? So, cool. I'm cool with that. You know what I mean? I'm glad it's official. I was still kind of sad not to see the sign and trade with Dallas. I was hoping for that just because I want to get off Evan. I mean, that's neither here or there. But let me ask you this though. Just the way the front office kind of like structures contracts and how they do business. Do you feel like this is the smartest regime we've had as far as just exhausting all options? Because if you look at the draft, we'll trade that bitch down the block. You know what I mean? To go pick a guy down the block. You know what I mean? To go get some more assets. I just kind of I like the way they move a little bit though. I do like the way they move. Like I'm not the biggest fan of them in certain areas, but what's your take on them so far?
Yeah, I mean, they do maneuver well. And you know, you try to figure them out and you really sometimes like what are they doing? But then when you got some time to sit on it, you like, okay, we got 3 protected first for an 11th pick. Just as an example. And we didn't really love anybody at 11. In hindsight, looking back, that's good value. You know, especially if you use those picks to eventually end up getting a superstar, then it would all make sense. And then it's like, okay, I see what you did there. What I do is I compare them against the rest of the league, right? And I think against the rest of the league, they're in the top 15 as far as just what they started with to what they have now in a 3-year span, the assets that they have. So, you know, the way I'm looking at it is they got about 11 players at 25 or younger. 2 of those guys could potentially make an all-star team with, you know, RJ and Brunson. You got some talent with Grimes and all of those guys. So they brought all of that in. You got to give them credit for that, right? Is it great? No. It's about it in the middle right now. Now, if they turn that in assets into stars, that moves them in the top 10. And for us to have a top 10 franchise from what we came with, that's tremendous. So right now, I think they're pretty much an average regime. I don't think they did anything stupid. I don't think they did anything exceptionally great. I think they have kind of in the middle of the road right now, and that we're a middle of the road type of team. But that can change depending on the moves they make next. So what they did is they're average, but they set themselves up to become above average if they handle it right. And that's a big if. So we got to see what they end up becoming. But, you know, I would say they're the smartest that we had, you know, since Donnie Walsh. I got to give Donnie Walsh more credit because they made the playoffs at least 3 to 4 years in a row. It wasn't contenders. They wasn't going to win a chip ever, but it was a consistently above average basketball team for the time period. They made one playoff, completely dropped off, and we'll see where they go from here. So I'll put them second. But as far as the moves that they made so far, I can't give them that either because, you know, Donnie Walsh got his Melo. When we end up giving up for Melo, he's still by far the best player out of anybody that acquisitions that we had in the last 10 years. So Donnie would be 1, they would be 2. Now, if they go and get a superstar and still hold on to a young team and not give up all their assets like we did for Melo, and that team is consistently good for 3 to 4 years, then they're the number 1 regime in my book. That's how
I agree. Basically, it's kind of an incomplete grade right now, but they definitely moving in the right direction. They definitely savvy. That they just when you expect something from them or don't expect something from them, they do the complete opposite. I didn't see us signing Isaiah Hartenstein. He wasn't even on my radar. You know what I mean? Like, and he's not the type prototypical player that the Knicks would pick up. So, I mean, you know, stepping outside the box, I thought that was cool. As far as, because when you sent me that tweet earlier, the roster, when they got here, that was fucking terrible. That was god-awful team. Shit. I almost got to give them a little more credit just for flipping that motherfucker around and getting all these assets, like,
Yeah.
and drafting well, like that.
Because you didn't realize that you see it on paper, and you like, whoa, Harkless, and then I mean, the people,
Kadeem Allen, oh my
Kadeem
God.
Allen, yeah, it was bad. Like, so when I looked at that, I said, damn, maybe I'm too hard on Leon. I'm like, I didn't realize how awful that. I mean, they had Bobby Portis, nice role player, Marquise Morris, like, yeah.
That's not a good team. That's not a good team.
Wayne Ellington, God, it was bad.
It was a bad team. It was old too. Good point.
So it wasn't too many assets. So for them to have 11 picks from where they started from, and they got 25-year-olds that, Bronson and RJ, under 25-year-old Obi and IQ and Grimes. Yeah, on that aspect, I was too hard on them because I swear I wanted these guys going, depending on how this offseason went. You know what I mean? But looking back to now, to be fair, they've done a pretty good job. They have.
Yeah. I can't be too harsh on them, man. Especially where we came from. Like, you know what I mean?
I got a quick question for you. So,
yep.
And this is early. This is before anything, more can happen. The season ain't even nowhere near complete. All season not complete. This is just right now, today. Okay, looking at the teams in the East with the Knicks signing 3 new players, was bringing back Mitch and bringing in Isaiah and Bronson and the team that they have. Where do you rank them in the East?
I still think they're outside the play-in, or like fighting for a play-in. I mean, you got to think until proven otherwise. I got to see Brooklyn move KD. You know what I mean? Like, okay, he requested trade. What, almost 2 weeks ago?
Let's assume they get moved, and Charlotte.
Okay,
with the Miles Bridges situation, they kind of, if they don't make any moves or bring them back, whatever the case. As of today, they took it.
I mean, I still got Boston. I still got Milwaukee. I still got Philly. Still got Chicago. Still got Atlanta. That's 5 off the gate.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Still got Miami. That's 6. Now we like in the waters now. You know what I mean? You got Indiana who's going to get better. They're getting ready to get DeAndre Ayton. Looks like Detroit's going to be fighting a little better, fighting a little more. Not saying that they're going to make the playoffs, but I can see them being around the play-in. You know what I mean? Trying to think of some other teams. Toronto, they're going to make it. Toronto. You know what I mean? That's 7 already. You know what I mean? Like, that's – I don't know, man. Like, that's 7 already, not including Orlando, Detroit, Indiana. You said what?
I said the Nets. You're not going to – I'm not –
Yeah, and I'm not including the Nets because they haven't – we're going to assume that they traded these guys.
Right.
But if they don't, that's 8 already.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The Wizards.
And you got the Wizards. So that's where you at right there. You know what I mean?
9 teams. Do you think it's a possibility that they can get in that top 8? So to get out of the 8, you would have to beat out the Raptors, the Cavs.
I forgot the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't know, man.
Got the Raptors and the Wizards. I would say, assuming that the Nets trade KD and don't get a superstar back, and they take, kind of a step back, I still think the Knicks.
You could take the Nets out and not put the Hornets in. It's still 10 deep, though.
Well, yeah, then you're looking at 9 deep with the Wizards, but then the 10th seed would theoretically probably end up going in that scenario.
Yeah, the Cavs. I forgot the Cavs. You got Milwaukee, Boston, Miami, Chicago, Atlanta, Philly, the Cavs,
the Raptors,
and the Raptors. That's 8.
And the Wizards.
And the Wizards. That's 9.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we didn't even include Indiana, Charlotte. Like, I don't know, man. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough.
I'm looking at it as today, assuming that KD is going.
Mm-hmm.
No other changes happen. I'm looking at it as today. I'm putting the Knicks ahead of those teams. right? I think that's pretty fair to say if they stay healthy.
You think the Knicks is better than Toronto?
So that's one of the teams we're going up against. It'll be Toronto, it'll be Washington, and it'll be the Cavs. I would think would be the bottom three teams. Is it what would have to happen? What would the Knicks have to do to get above those three teams?
They got to trade.
You don't think they can do it with this current roster?
We don't have enough talent, man. That's asking for a lot. That's asking for RJ to be on his game. That's asking for Randall to turn it around. That's asking for Brunson to still be who we think Brunson gonna be. You know what I mean? That's asking for a lot.
How about this? We ask it a different way. They won 37 games last year. How many games? Let's just assume, argument's sake, RJ take a little step forward.
Mm-hmm.
Randall takes a little step forward. Bronson is what we expect him to be. Grimes and all those guys take a minimal step forward. Just nothing crazy. Just a little better than they were last year. How many wins do you give the team? Mind you, they won 37 last year.
I give them like 45.
So that's best case. If they win 45, they in the playoffs. That's nine times out of 10 you in the playoffs if you get 45. Mm-hmm. So I think of fear. I'm saying some of that stuff is not going to happen just to be reasonable. I think it's fair to say that they can probably win 42 games.
Okay.
If they win 42 games, you're fighting for eighth seed. Most times, most years, you're fighting for eighth seed. So I think it's possibility. It all depends on how to Randall, if he's still here. To me, this whole team boils to Randall. I think Brunson's going to be good, himself. I think RJ is going to take a little step forward. But Randall's the kid. If Randall's here, he makes a break this year.
But as the front office, can you sit back and just be like, all right, we're okay with this? You know what I mean? Like, we all right. Like, what the fuck you gonna do? You got $500 million tied up into three guys. Like, that ain't like superstars. So like, you know what I mean? We signed Hartenstein and Brunson and still fighting for eighth. Like, come on, my guy. You know what I mean? You're going to have to make a move.
If Randall's just average, I'm not even asking him to be crazy. I'm asking him to be average. If he's average,
and if he's average, you still fighting with the Cavs?
Average for him, he did 20, 10, and 5 last year. Let's just say if he averaged 21, 10, and 5 with better efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
Bronson is who we expect him to be, a 17-5 guy, let's just say hypothetically. And RJ take a step forward. If all of those things happen, I think you're better than the Raptors and the Wizards. I'll put it to you like that. Those two teams. If all of those things break right, you're better than those two teams. I think you would fight for an 8th, 9th seed. If it's a big if.
Are you better than the Raptors though? Like honestly, because think about it. I'm just breaking it down roster by roster.
Well, I'm looking at it. I'm not even going to do roster by roster because a lot of that can fluctuate. Like, Randall was a second. Like, if we would have did this before Randall had his year, Randall wouldn't have been better than Siakam. We wouldn't even compare Randall to Siakam prior to the 1 year he ended up being second team all NBA, all that, right? We wouldn't even be talking about it, but different things can happen. So I'm looking at wins opposed to player by player.
Okay.
The Raptors won how many games last year? 42?
I think 42, yeah.
Around that range. Knicks was only 5 games worse than them last year with Kemba out, Randall going batshit. You know what I'm saying? Burks is your starting point guard the whole year. COVID, all that stuff that happened. We only was 5 games worse than them last year. And they played probably as best as they can play off of their skill level and ability. They played well, considering. So I'm looking at it as we got better, but I expect the young players to get better and their young players to get better. I don't think it's a 5-game gap. I'm just saying with the Raptors and the Wizards. We ended up better than the Wizards last year, but Bill was out. But I don't think it's more of a 5-game gap. between these three teams. I think it's a 2-3 game gap, depending on how the year go.
Do
And
you think it's a 5-game gap between us and the Cavs?
the way the Cavs played last year, yeah.
Okay. I'm like, they got it.
I don't know.
They got it.
I don't know if they're going to play at that level again. But the level that they played at last year, yeah, it's a 5-game gap.
But if you think about how they played last year, and let's just say they do bring back Sexton, that's tough.
I don't know whether that helps or hurts chemistry. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
When Sexton went out, that's when they played better, unfortunately. But that's the way it ended up. So he might be.
I probably would allude that to That's because Garland knew, okay, I'm the point. I'm really the point. You know what I mean?
Sometimes the injury had to happen for good to happen. Unfortunately, that's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he ended up taking advantage of that. But when Sexton back and they sharing the backcourt a little bit, does that take away from Garland? Do you feel less confident, more confident?
I don't know. Buddy 193. They gonna give him the keys.
Yeah, he got it. He got the keys. But
nobody's stepping on in his way.
So I mean, we got to find out. It'll be interesting if this is the team we go in there with. Be interesting to see how they actually gel and what they end up.
They can't go in there with this team. Like it feels incomplete. Like it feels incomplete.
It does. It feels very incomplete. But I can see them saying we got better and we went young, and we still got these assets. They can talk themselves into that. They could theoretically talk themselves into that. So we still young. We still got assets. I think we can compete. You know, for a play-in spot, if nothing else. You know.
Yeah.
I think they feel confident with that. They could talk themselves into not doing nothing else. It could happen. It does feel like it needs to be something else done. I agree, but I can see them saying, you know what, hey, we're going to sit on these assets and then we're doing good. You know, I don't know how they think.
Yeah, that's AKA we're going to sit on our ass. Not these assets. We're going to sit on our ass. Like,
I can see them doing it.
We got you guys brunch and don't say shit to us. I can see that.
You're right. Let me end it with this. So of course, at the end after we made our announcements, you know, Woj dropped not a bomb, but you know, a little firecracker.
Yeah.
Utah is open to, you know, pretty much listening. They're not looking to trade them, quote unquote, but they'll listen now and see what offers they give them. So the question is this: what would you give to get Donovan Mitchell? What is your realistic final package after all the negotiating is done and you put a line in the sand and you say, you know what? This is what I'm giving. That's it. Either take it or leave it. What's that offer to Utah?
Randall, Cam, damn, this is tough. Randall, Cam, 5 first in a swap.
Randall, Cam. So basically 6 picks. Randall and Cam is your final offer. Let me ask with that, with your line in the sand. Do you think Utah takes that offer?
They better? What the fuck? You get in a 21, 22-year-old 6'9" wing that everybody else still has some intrigue with. So that's basically a first. I'm giving you 6 firsts, or I'm giving you 5 firsts and a swap. So that's 6 firsts. And I'm giving you a guy that on his down year was 2010 and 5, and he's only 27 years old. Yo ass better shut the fuck up and take it. Like, I don't want to hear shit. I don't want to hear, oh, would you add a second? Would you throw some cash? No. That's it. Like, or I'll just keep my guys and my assets. Like, fuck that. Like, you already know how I feel about Mitchell. He ain't that good to me. Like, but I get it. So, you know what I mean? Like, he's a phenomenal player, but he's not that good.
I'm going to tell you what I'm giving up. I'm going to keep Randall. I'm going to throw a curveball. Keeping Randall.
Wow.
I'm gonna give you Evan.
Mm-hmm.
Give you Rose an expiring contract. I'm gonna give you Obi. I'm gonna give you Cam. And I'm gonna give you 5 first-round picks. That's my final offer because I figure, listen, if I got Randall here, Mitchell, RJ, and Bronson as my starting lineup, I can make an argument. That that's top 5, top 6 team in the East.
Talent-wise, yeah.
If everything breaks right and all of those guys live up to what we expect them to live up to, you know, I still got a bench of IQ. I still got a bench of
Obi.
Got a bench of Grimes. I still got Isaiah coming off the bench. I still got Sims off the bench. I can pick up sign Melo at that situation, have him as a backup, you know, throw the mid at Melo, have Melo as my backup power forward. That's a pretty damn good team, and it's still young.
That's a good team. That's actually like a good team.
It's still young, and it hurt seeing Obi go, but it'd be a great opportunity for him. Great opportunity for Cam.
Sent that motherfucker to the gulag.
Like 5 round picks on top of that. You know what I'm saying? So they got one good young player, one great prospect in Cam, 5 picks, and an expiring. I think that'll be my line in the sand. I think that's something that they have to strongly consider. And
my man sent Obi to the fucking
I just gave my bottom line. That's not what I want to do. I gave my bottom line. This is my line in the sand offer. Take it or leave it. I think that's fair for both teams. I think Randall would know he's the second option at least, and I think he would calm down because he knows Mitchell's clearly better than him. Bronson's an argument, but it's not with Donovan Mitchell. It's not an argument. I think Randall will fall in line. Bronson know his role. You got defense off the bench with Grimes. You know, he can play a little wing defense. Bringing in Melo, he can play that back up the Randall role. Got Isaiah off the bench. Solid team, still young. You know, you hold on to a couple of those draft picks. You only gave up 5 instead of 6 or 7. So you got a couple of young players you can still bring in and continue to build. Randall don't play as well, or he does play well. You can possibly package Randall with a couple more of them picks to get another guy to go with RJ and Mitchell and Bronson. Now you in championship contender.
So I like what you did there. I see what you did there. You banking on Randall turning it around because if he turns it around, he's gonna have more value than Obi.
Exactly.
I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, and then you can take that and turn it into the guy, mm-hmm. And now you got a pretty young team that can contend for 3-4 years at championship level.
Right.
You know, you paid the price by giving up Obi that punch you in the stomach, but Randall's still only
that's tough.
He's still only 27. And that's what even though he had a down year, everybody want him going, he's still only 27 years old. Yeah. He still got 3-4 more years where he can be in his prime with Mitchell, with RJ, with Brunson, with Mitch, with Grimes, with IQ. Sims.
And in 4 years, they're just in their prime. So
that's a longer extended run. You know what I'm saying? So the Obi thing, I hate it, but I think it needs to happen. And I think that's what would push Utah over the 5 picks they really want, but they like, okay, I'm taking a chance on Cam and I get in the Obi where I really believe that if he starts can be like an exciting player and a pretty good player. I got an expiring and I got a useful player in the Evan. That's something I think they would lean into more so than trying to give him Randall contract on. He's not going to be happy in Utah. They know that's going to be a headache. So that's
me acting a fucking monkey and a donkey.
I'm taking this angry motherfucker. Give me 7. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's feasible with him. I think Obi's more enticing.
Let me ask you this: do you think the Knicks will offer Obi?
I think if it came down to it, yeah. I don't think they're going to give up both Obi and IQ and that type of thing, or RJ. I don't think they're doing that.
Hell no.
But one of them young players that they ask for, and that's the deciding factor, they'll do one. So either Grimes, either IQ, either Obi. They'll do
If
one.
I give you Grimes, motherfucker, I'm giving you 4 picks. Like, you are not getting. I can't.
I think
I was okay. I can't.
I think
can't
the young
stomach
player that
letting Grimes
everybody
go.
wants, and this is my opinion, is Obi. I think they probably receive more Obi IQ calls than any other young player we have. Grimes is probably going to get more now that is performing well in the summer league and playing the way he is. But I think Obi got probably the most value
You
because
remember when they almost dealt Grimes to Atlanta?
yeah, well they didn't almost they talked.
Well, now that's who they wanted. I'm just happy they didn't.
No, sir.
I'm just happy they didn't.
It's not gonna happen. But man, it's been a pleasure.
Of course.
Episode 5. We got way more content as we keep going. So just need all you guys to go out there and support, subscribe and like.
Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Trippin'-N-The Mecca podcast.
Yes, sir.
It's only up from here, baby. That's it.
Sir.
It's only up from here. We're gonna keep bringing you great content, keep bringing you raw, authentic, real content. And this is a wrapped up for episode 5. We'll see you episode 6 after the Orlando game.
All right, man.
All right, man.